Liz Ann, you've seen this before. What do you do the day after?
So what we tend to do actually the day of at the close is put out a broad communication about our perspective on what happened during that particular day, but also reinforcing some of the longer-term perspectives. And Tom, as you know, we started to get a bit more cautious about 2 years ago, and from a tactical asset allocation perspective, went to neutral across the equity asset classes, including U.S. equities, within which we said you wanted to focus on large caps at the expense of small caps. And we've had a pretty defensive sector positioning as well. So we've had a message out there that this is late cycle, that there are risks. You don't want to get out over your skis.
Yeah.
You don't want to sell everything and run for the hills, but this is not the time to take undue levels of risk relative to your long-term strategic allocation. So I think we positioned our investors for this type of market volatility, and hopefully they stay disciplined and calm through this.
Liz Ann, John Templeton was one of the great original global investors. I remember the evening he and Lou Rukeyser went at it in the crisis of '87. Give us an update on your view on the global investment world. Do you have to stay U.S.-centric?
Not necessarily. We think actually correlations across asset classes and even within asset classes have been generally coming down. I think we've exited this environment where all risk assets perform generally the same and all lower risk assets perform generally the same. So with a breakdown in correlations, diversification actually may start to pay some rewards, and that's been our message. We're neutral, though, across emerging markets, developed markets, U.S. market, but that means you want to have diversification across those areas. You know, we do have, obviously, a weak global growth story. We've got some records that have been broken, 15 consecutive months of a declining global PMI. I think it's pretty definitive that we're in a global manufacturing recession, if not an overall global recession, which it looks increasingly likely the U.S. will fall into that trap as well. More so on the manufacturing side, maybe not across the spectrum in the economy, but the risk has clearly risen with what's going on with trade.